Welcome to Feelin Seen with Dean, the show where real confidence starts on the inside. Hosted by Dean Michael. Let's get into it.
Have you ever noticed how toxic coworkers do not target the weakest person in the room? They target the person who refuses to become toxic with them. And for the longest time, I couldn't understand why certain work environments became uncomfortable the more I worked on myself. I was not bothering anybody. I stayed professional. I worked hard. And I treated people with respect. So why did the tension increase? The healthier I became. The more I started prioritizing my health, my peace, my fitness, my discipline, the more strange comments I would continuously hear from coworkers. Dean, do you even eat real food? You know what? He probably only eats salad. We never see you eat lunch. Like, do you even eat food? And at first, I thought they were kidding. But after a while, I noticed there was something deeper that was actually happening. Secure people unintentionally expose insecure people, because when someone consistently works on themselves, it forces other people to confront the work that they have continuously avoided within themselves. Your confidence becomes a mirror. And boy, some people hate mirrors. But insecurity alone is not why toxic environments target certain people. I've always struggled with workplace politics because I'm naturally direct, open, and positive. I'm not passive aggressive. I don't play fake well. I do not gossip. And I have never been good at playing the game. And what I started noticing is, in fake environments, honesty will always make people uncomfortable. In some workplaces, manipulation is considered professionalism, and honesty gets labeled as aggressive or hard to work with. The moment you stop performing socially for people, you become difficult, hard to work with, too much, the problem. And honestly, things got even worse once I stopped shrinking myself just to make other people comfortable. When I returned to a certain work environment, I noticed I had the hardest time with pretending. I've had coworkers and other therapists ignore my presence. And what made it difficult was not even them. It was me trying not to lose myself emotionally in response to their actions. Because when you're naturally empathetic, you start wondering, did I do something wrong? But then I realized something. Some people do not become uncomfortable because you're fake. They become uncomfortable because you're real. When someone walks into an environment with authenticity, discipline, self-respect, and peace, it disrupts the very social system that was built on manipulation, gossip, control, insecurity, and performance. And the sad part, a lot of these people in these work cliques do not even like each other. They're only bonding through negativity and gossiping about someone else and or you. And once they realize they cannot socially control you, that is when the manipulation begins. I used to be known as the nice coworker. When I joked around, talked about restaurants, went out for drinks, participated in the negativity, people loved me. But when I started working on myself, working on my goals, prioritizing the gym, talking less negatively about other coworkers, in protecting my peace, people stopped loving me. I became a threat because boundaries offend people who benefited from you having none. And toxic people love to test your boundaries slowly. Little jokes here and there, subtle disrespect, passive aggressive behaviors, which eventually lead to exclusion. They're always trying to figure out, how much can I get away with? And sometimes when manipulation stops working, people become obsessed with regaining control. One of the biggest lessons I learned was that envy rarely introduces itself honestly. I've had coworkers compliment me, telling me how disciplined I was, how inspired they were, how attractive I look, how amazing it is to see me dedicated to fitness and growth. But once I surpassed the limitations they placed on me, everything shifted. The compliments became criticism, the admiration became rumors, and the inspiration became exclusion. And I realized some people criticize what they secretly envy because criticism will always feel safer than vulnerability for those individuals. And that became even clearer to me during one of my clinical rotations. There was a therapist during one of my clinical rotations that seemed fascinated by me. They would constantly ask me personal questions about myself, my husband, what do I do on the weekends, what do I do for fun? And I could feel they were deeply observing me. But once I became comfortable being authentically myself in this newer work environment, their energy towards me completely changed. One day, they criticized the cologne I was wearing, despite the fact that my patient care, professionalism, and work ethic had absolutely nothing to do with that. And that's when I realized when insecure people can't compete with your character, they start attacking things unrelated to your character. But honestly, the deepest form of manipulation is not criticism. It's emotional control. One coworker started treating me passive aggressively in front of other coworkers and in front of the patients we treated together. And I kept asking myself, why are they doing this? Then it clicked. When toxic people lose access to your life, they try to regain access through your emotions. They provoke, they embarrass, they exclude because emotional reactions make them feel powerful. And calm people become targets because they confuse emotional control for weakness. But I also want to be honest about something. A lot of people think being strong means nothing affects you. But the truth is, it did affect me. It hurt, confused me. It made me question myself sometimes. But eventually, I stopped internalizing what toxic people were projecting onto me. And instead of reacting to all of the negativity, I decided to turn the pain I was feeling into purpose. So if you have been targeted in toxic environments, I need you to understand something. Sometimes people are not targeting you because there is something wrong with you. But some people do target you because your authenticity and discipline disrupts their very environment, which was built on manipulation, control, insecurity, and performance. Your peace reminds them of their chaos. Your discipline reminds people of their inconsistency, and your boundaries remind people they no longer have access to you. And no, that does not mean that you are better than anybody. It just means you finally decided to grow. And growth will always make comfortable people uncomfortable. So instead of letting toxic people harden me, I decided to create a light for those that are going through the same thing. Because if this video can just help one person, then everything I went through was for a purpose. And if you have not watched my last podcast about aging in reverse, I'm going to go ahead and link it right here, because protecting your peace, prioritizing your health, working on your body, your mind, your discipline, those things do not only just help you stay youthful physically and age in reverse, but they help you survive toxic environments without losing yourself emotionally. So I will see you there.